You are now entering what can only be described as a true free speech zone, where nothing is off limits and there is absolutely no censorship. Welcome to Open Mic with Boog Brand.
All right, everybody, welcome to the show. We are not live tonight. We are pre-recording this ahead of time to accommodate everybody's schedule here. Number one, Johnny was gracious enough to come on. I know he didn't really necessarily want to do it at the time we normally go live, so I had him in the back pocket, and we were looking for somebody to do a pre-recorded show so that I could step away for my daughter's birthday party this Friday night. So as you guys are watching this, I will be getting ready for my daughter's birthday party and having a good time with that, hopefully. So she turns 3. It's going to be a crazy, crazy, crazy time. So without further ado, Johnny, I think pretty much everybody who watches my podcast knows who you are. But if you want to just give a little introduction for those that may straggle in that aren't really sure of who Johnny B, Johnny Appalachia, Hill Person Johnny, 182nd Ideas, whatever you want to call yourself, just a little bit about who you are.
I just appreciate you throwing me under the bus like as soon as we start. He didn't necessarily want to be here. That's because I'm not a vampire. I'm not going to meet down here at work because you text me like, hey, let's do it. Let's do a podcast at like 2 a.m. You want to do it like 2 a.m? I'm like, no, I'm an adult and I'm going to bed at a reasonable hour.
Yeah, no, I wasn't meaning to throw you under the bus. It's just, I understand it completely. Our time zone differences, what time I go live, what time you go to bed, they kind of coincide, and I don't blame you because for the most part, my time to go to bed usually does coincide with this too. So it's, like I said, I got a 1-year-old and I got a 3-year-old. So when they're asleep, I should be asleep.
Should be, but being an adult is tough, and hashtag dad life. It is tough. So I do appreciate you pre-recording this. I didn't answer your question whatsoever. I'm Johnny B from YouTube. And if your viewers know who I am, they need better taste in content.
Well, if they're watching me, they probably need better taste in content. You're definitely a step up from that. So I guess I don't know, how would you describe what your channel is? I know how I would describe it, but sometimes when I would describe it as isn't exactly what the person who makes it would describe it as.
I don't know, like YouTube has evolved over the years. Like I used to do like the straight reviews and shot a lot of guns and did that kind of stuff and reviewed products. I did comedy for a couple years and just did a bunch of nonsense. And about a year ago, right at Thanksgiving of 19, I just kind of jumped in. It was because when that Whiskey Warrior situation happened up in New York. And I jumped in and just started doing commentary, just off the cuff talking like I'm doing now. And it, for whatever reason, hit and got a lot of traction there. So currently I'm doing mostly politics, current events, anything that gets my attention. I like to talk about. So it's me with a lot of words mostly.
Right. I mean, that's pretty much how I would describe it. Just a generally 2A friendly commentary type channel that isn't afraid to have a little fun, even if somebody else may not think it's funny. You do, and you're going to talk about it. Or interesting.
Willing to have fun at communists' expense.
Oh, we all love the communists, right? If it wasn't for them, we wouldn't have anybody to make fun of.
Yeah, we wouldn't have targets about every 30 years.
That's true too. So, anything you're working on in particular that you kind of want to plug before we just kind of get into the conversation? I know I kind of gave you a brief rundown. I don't do much for formatting of this, but I just like to get into conversation. But I like to give you a chance too to plug whatever you have coming up. Anything you want to speak on, anything you want to talk about, we're good.
I have nothing to plug. I'm really, really happy to be on here. Just for fun, I'll tell you today I'm working on a Angstat Arms AR-9. I've never shot an Angstat. And so I spent this whole week with their AR-9. I'm doing a full review for pewpewtactical.com. I'm one of the faces of the pewpewtactical.com YouTube channel. That's a whole separate world from what I do. But it's been a fun day, and it's not really a plug. It's just a surprise for me. Kind of a neat gun. It ran really, really well. So that's what I'm doing all day today, filming and editing the final stuff for that. And I think that one goes live on Thursday.
Nice, nice. I look forward to it. I actually enjoy your reviews from Pew Pew Tactical. I think they do a lot of good stuff over there. So, if anybody's
They
not
do.
familiar and wants good reviews of something and not just some guy tactically pushing an item, head on over to Pew Pew Tactical. You might hear about a G2C or a G3C from them, but you're gonna get an honest opinion about it.
Yeah, and I think that's a good place to be. Like I've been working with Pew Pew for a couple years, and they're they're personal friends at this point. And we get all of our firearms third party. So when we are showing, almost always when we're showing a Smith and Wesson, we got that from somebody else or we bought it somewhere else. We're not dealing one on one with the company. So I think it helps to have helps with the honesty. It helps a little bit with transparency, like that Angstat we got from a gun distributor down in Alabama. So I think it's a really cool place. I'm very proud to be a part of. That's not a plug at all. Like it didn't. I'm
Right.
not on commission.
Right.
It's
You
just a
ain't trying
fun
to.
place to
You're
work.
not trying to. Do a whole mod light thing, right?
Not doing the Mod Light thing today. Yeah, Mod Light, they lost their minds last week. We call them
Yeah.
Mad Light.
Yeah. They definitely did. So, all right then. I just kind of wanted to, cover that little base and see, if you had anything there, but just kind of wanted to get into know Johnny B. The your Instagram, Johnny Appalachia. You're posting on there all the time, little fun stuff here and there. What your daily life is kind of like now, but what kind of brought you to this point? What made you say, you know what, YouTube's where I want to be?
I I don't think I'm at that point. I'm not sure YouTube is where I want to be, not remotely. It's a bunch of hassles and a whole bunch of angry commenters. Way back when in 2016, I'm a voracious media absorber and consumer, and I was just watching the same gun channels that everybody else watches. And one day I went, you know what? I can do that, boys. And so I ran down and I didn't have a camera. I just opened up my MacBook and filmed on my MacBook. And that was in December. And I just did a couple random videos. And I talked about a Glock 43, and it got into the YouTube algorithm and got on Google. Actually, in the Google algorithm, I was like number 4 on Google for like 6 months with that dumb video. The video is so bad. And then I did a review of my cat and like literally reviewed it as a product, and that one hit on Reddit. And what's funny is I sold that cat video to a company in New York City, and they bought the rights to it for 1 year. And so it kind of hit from there. I don't know if YouTube's where I want to be, but it's a lot of fun. It's a good outlet. I mean, I've met a lot of really, really good people. I've met a lot of jerks too, but, and that's just in the content creators, but I've had a lot of fun. I've got to go to a lot of trips. Like I'm on the road all the time now with YouTube, and it has blown up. Like I had no idea what would happened. And so really it hit hard in 17. And ever since then, I literally can't keep up.
Right. I know. I mean, you're growing pretty quickly now. I know you've been growing pretty consistently, but then all of a sudden, this, last couple months, you've really been kind of growing at quite a decent clip. So, I mean, how does that feel? I mean, does it feel any different with your channel? Obviously, you're getting a lot more comments, you're getting a lot more of that stuff, but does it feel any different having 100,000 followers or nearly? I think you're pretty close to it, or you're over it now, right?
Yeah, I passed a few, probably a month or two ago, and I've got sitting over there, I've got my silver play button. So fancy pansy, that'll get me what? Nothing. Does it feel different? I think it's an interesting question. I don't know. Like, I did a lot of work in 17 and 18. I mean, I did hundreds of videos a year, and I did multiple marathons where I would do 30 and 40 days in a row with episodes. So it kind of feels on some level the same. Um, I think now I feel a little more secure in that I've got so many more relationships, like really solid relationships in the industry. So when I need something, I can get it. If I've got questions, I can find out. And I'm a lot more comfortable on the road. Like I spent a lot of time this summer, even during the COVID, on the road. I've got another road trip coming up in about 2 weeks. So it feels good. It feels like a great place to be. It's a great community. I'm making fun of people, but it's a lot of fun, and it's a great community to be a part of.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I've seen that just from my little bit getting in and just talking to people that, especially the gun tuber side of it. I can't speak to a lot more than that, but the gun tuber side of it, everybody seems to be pretty close knit. Just willing to help out, talk to you. If nothing else, point you in a direction to go, which has been pretty cool.
Yeah, I agree. The gun guys are fantastic. The big creators are just great guys. I mean, these are have become my friends. It's who I talk to. I like every now and then just scrolling through my text and saying, "Hey, who have I talked to in the last 30 days?" And I tell you, 90% of the people I talk to don't live here locally. Like my whole friend base and relationships are now outside of the state of Tennessee, or at least outside of my area. And that's been interesting but it's because they're such a welcoming family. Good guys. I mean, it sounds like I'm plugging gun tubers, but they're good guys as a whole.
Yeah, no, it's definitely interesting, and one of the things that I really respect about you personally is that you've got just this tenacity and this drive to keep going, but you've also diversified. So it's like you see a lot of guys that are YouTubers or doing this or that. I think part of what I like about you is that you're willing to branch out and you're doing all these different things. Like, you came out with the partnership, with Shall Not Comply, stuff like that. You're out there with Pew Pew Tactical. You're doing that. You're doing writing. There's a lot of different ways to follow Johnny and what he's doing, which is definitely interesting for me.
Well, that's probably not strategy. That's just me. Like I'm a little hyper and a little bit distracted, and it's what I do. I'm into a lot of different stuff. But again, it's a big family. Like you mentioned, Shall Not Comply. It's a t-shirt company I work with. But to your credit, you posted some of our stuff on your Instagram a few weeks ago, and it comes down to we're on the same team. Like,
right.
Absolutely, everybody that's in the two-way is on the same team. And I've been able to sneak your George Washington stuff into a few things with Pew Pew. And that's been kind of cool as well. But, as far as diversifying, I still hope the desire is to punch communists in the head and to promote the community of freedom.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I have no problem sharing your guys' stuff. Like, from everything that I've seen, it's high quality, and just even just the workmanship and the patch. Something as simple as that can be overlooked, and it's like, you know what? I got it. I'm gonna put it here. I'm gonna post it up. These guys, you deserve it. You're doing good work, so
Same thing.
Deserves to be posted. So, So now we kind of talked about the hard question, that what brought you here, and that's unique and everything like that. Where do you see yourself kind of going over the next couple of years? I know you're kind of just continuing to do, and I know you evolve regularly with how things are going, and you're trying different things. But if there was any place that you could see yourself going with this whole thing over the next couple of years, what do you see as being like that next maybe thing for you?
Well, I think there's a presupposition to that question. Like you're assuming that YouTube's even going to be here for gun channels. Like we have no idea. They could pull the plug tomorrow. I do want to continue my relationship with Pew Pew. Like it's a really, really good situation. They've got a lot of good things coming down the pipeline. So hopefully going to continue trying out. What I do for them is I try out new products, and almost always are guns. So try out brand new guns from a regular dude, tactical dad standpoint. So I want to keep doing that. I am launching, I think the paperwork's going to get done tomorrow, but I'm launching a new channel on the Warrior Poet Society Network. What I really want to say, what do I want to go from here? I want my channel on there to be a success and for people to actually enjoy it. They are giving me, John Lovell's team and the Warrior Poet Network is giving me pretty broad stroke. Like I can do whatever I want to on this channel, almost like without no parameters. Like everything I have pitched to them about what I want to talk about, they've said yes. So they're going to let me talk about conspiracies and Bigfoot and talk a lot about politics and things that I enjoy talking about. So where do I want to go from here? I want to continue with Pew Pew. I hope YouTube continues, and I want the network to not be a total, complete flop.
Yeah, no, I think that's going to be an interesting thing, what he's got going on there, the WPSN. It's definitely a step in the right direction for us. I wish we didn't have to take those steps. It would be easier if everybody could just get along, But I guess, to what we have to do. I mean, we've been, as a gun community, what I hate is seeing us have to step away, and then it just becomes kind of this, echo chamber for everybody, which, it's not bad. It's a place to go, and it's a place to go to get that specific content. But I think it's similar to the whole Parler. You know, this I joined Parler, I went onto it, but it was like I couldn't spend much time there just because it was so repetitive, so much the same thing, and it's like to me, it's just as toxic when you're involved with just what you want to see. It's kind of like that's almost worse in my case because it's like you don't get to see the other side. You can't have that conversation with those people, and I think by cutting them out, you're making it that those people aren't people, and not the majority of them aren't bad. It's like you said, the communists, the commies that suck, but a leftist, just because you're a leftist or you believe in the Democratic Party doesn't mean you're a Nazi scum or a communist or whatever.
Whoa.
There's there's some that are way out there, and it's hard. I think a lot of it is societal. We believe in the Democratic Party because we are liberal in this, and we believe that, and blah blah blah. And then they just completely close their eyes to the far left that's out there. But we have it on the right too, just as far right. We ignore kind of what the far right are doing in some cases just because that's not the majority of us. They're the louder. They sometimes are the louder ones, and definitely on the left, the extreme left, they are the loudest ones. They're the loudest of everybody, but I guess I'm an optimist. I still give credit to people, and that you're not all bad in what you think, so.
Well, I disagree with you. If you vote DNC, you're a moron. Anybody, not you personally, but anybody that voting for DNC, you're a moron.
Yeah. I don't disagree.
I say that unequivocally.
Yeah, I don't disagree with it. I just think that some of it is, I guess, uneducated. Some of it is 100% they want that. And they're educated enough to know it's dumb. They're educated enough to know it's stupid. And I think those are the commies.
That doesn't mean the Republicans are good people, because they're a bunch of morons too as a whole. Like the RNC, man, we're talking about some guys that need to be throat punched in the skull. So
yeah. It's a bunch of people.
Rhinos.
Yeah, it's a bunch of people on both sides that you can tell haven't been kicked in the nuts, and it shows.
Welcome to today's episode with white guys threatening violence through the internet.
Yeah, I'm not threatening violence through the internet. I would do it in a heartbeat.
In person.
Yeah, this is what I do. So it's 90% of the time my wife hitting me in the chest say, "Shut up." Don't say that. Just don't go there. But that's neither here nor there. She's got me under control. She knows when to shut me up and when to walk away. So, and you kind of said you can talk about whatever you want, conspiracies, Bigfoot, stuff like that. So you like to get into, I know you like to get into the conspiracies a little bit. You kind of keep them off the channel here and there. Sometimes they pop up, but what is your favorite conspiracy? The thing that you kind of just wrap your head around, and you rabbit hole every single time it comes up.
I got conspiracies we ain't talking about. And I will not talk about it while the microphone's on and while all these fancy lights are on me. We are not talking about that. I will say this, that the North American ape, I think there's enough evidence where we can say the North American ape is probably legitimate. I think that's a lot of fun to talk about. Love talking Bigfoot. So there's some other stuff that's really, really squirrely. I'm not a big, let's pull up the 1960s documents from the CIA. I'm not that guy. Like, I think those CIA document guys are just dreadful to listen to. Like, they think they're going to find one sheet of paper from the 40s and just like, they are now the end all be it all and know it all. I like talking about big picture stuff. It's a lot of fun. I like looking at corporation kind of stuff, but there's a lot out there. I usually say the word conspiracy theory, which I did on here because it's just an easier way to open the door to have this conversation. I don't even like the term conspiracy theory. It was coined by the CIA, you know that. Yep. And if you just say the word conspiracy theory, you're now being a part of them discrediting and saying, "Oh, he's a conspiracy guy." No, I'm kind of a truth guy. Right. And a lot of the stuff has come out. Like we talked, I'm old as the hills. And I mean, 25 years ago, we were talking about Bohemian Grove. And turns out, yeah, the Bohemian Grove is real. And Bohemian Grove is a bunch of demonic nonsense. And so it's not some big conspiracy. So to answer your question, what's my favorite? Probably Bigfoot. For public consumption, love talking Bigfoot.
Yeah. No, I definitely understand. There's a lot of stuff. I've been exposed to a lot of stuff through different communities, things that are just absolutely insane. But I do like my favorite saying now, I think, is probably like, can we just stop calling them conspiracy theories and just start calling them what they are? Facts.
Yeah, truth.
It's like
there's some good ones out there.
The harder they push against it, the more I'm like, yeah, it might be true. And here we are. We're getting toward the end of October 2020, and at this point, it's really crazy to say this, that Alex Jones is probably the closest to an actual journalist we have in this country at this point.
That's funny.
That's unfortunately it's true.
sad but funny.
Yeah, so I don't know. I get the conspiracy theories, not talking about certain things, and I definitely don't disagree with you about the North American ape, the Great American ape, whatever you want to call it. I'm at a point where I think they have existed. Whether they still do, I don't know. But I definitely think that there's credence to it. So,
well, the thing that I really like in all unexplained stuff, especially in cryptozoology, I really like consistency. There was a being that appeared in the late 1960s in West Virginia, and like, I won't say everybody in that town, Point Pleasant, West Virginia. I won't say everybody, but it seems like about everybody in the town saw it over a 13-month period. And the thing that I really liked about this being that they saw, or what the reports that came back, is they were consistent. The consistency is my favorite thing in all of this stuff. So I love when we're talking about myths and legends, urban legends, to having things that are consistent. So the one in Point Pleasant, West Virginia, super, super consistent. Like the mayor saw the same things that like school children saw and described that being in the same way. When we deal with the North American ape, it doesn't matter. The two hot spots are really in the Ozarks, the Mark Twain National Forest, southern Missouri, and then all the Pacific Northwest. It don't matter if you're talking to Indians from 75 years ago or talking to people that have run into Bigfoot in recent weeks. He throws rocks. Like, it don't matter who you talk to, whether it's Indians or school children or Japanese tourists. They're like, something is out in the woods throwing rocks at us. So I love consistencies. And that's the smoke that I chase looking for fires.
Yeah, I know. I've heard some interesting stories, but all of them, you're right. They're all extremely consistent. Some of them are a little more than others, but it wouldn't be out of question for me to say an animal that's similar to, an ape or an orangutan or something like that. I've heard some pack stories, that just 3 or 4 of them running around buildings, throwing rocks at it type thing, but, or them hunting or herding basically people, but
yeah, there's some stories that maybe not a pack, but maybe families. Looks like the big ones and the little ones run together, a little bit like those little clusters of gorillas that go on in the rainforest. So yeah, maybe. Definitely nocturnal, definitely super secretive, and definitely smart, and definitely huge. Like, there are tails of whopper sizes, like maybe 9 feet.
Yeah,
and I know people, you probably have viewers right now that are like, Johnny's a moron. Yeah, probably. But I think it's interesting.
It's definitely an interesting story, and it doesn't really matter. I mean, if you're not willing to even hear a potential story, I think you're just as bad especially if you just shut it down and say this guy's a moron or I'm done with this. This is just garbage. Like, my personal opinion is there's enough evidence out there that they do exist to say, okay, maybe you should listen a little bit. Aliens, for crying out loud. Like, you got to be pretty ignorant to believe that the third rock from the sun in one solar system of the entire galaxy is the only place in existence that has life that's smart enough to even think about other existential beings.
Yeah, aliens, that's a whole other can of worms. Holy smokes. I took a year of astronomy at the university, and I'm telling you that one of the things that blew my brain out about space is how big it is. And I know, it's infinite. The human brain can't map infinite. We have struggles with that. But we know of 30 to 60,000 planets that are within the green zone that are far enough away from close enough yet far enough away from their star to be warm enough and have oxygen to be able to have life on it. So aliens is a whole different category. Dan Aykroyd, some of the older people remember Dan Aykroyd of Blues Brothers and SNL fame. He says that we're not discussing if there's aliens. He won't even talk about if. He says we're so far beyond that. He's talking about, more hard evidence. I don't know. Like some say that we're within less than 10 years of NASA finally admitting it and the U.S. government finally admitting it, because it takes the U.S. government 2 to 3 to 4 decades to admit stuff happened. So we're just now getting far enough away from Roswell and all that stuff. Aliens is a whole different category.
Well, you gotta figure we're getting pretty close. If they're willing to admit flying objects, UFOs, and release a damn video of it, well, 2020 is going crazy enough. Hey, let's just drop this video of this UFO. Nobody's gonna believe it, and nobody even talked about it. They talked about it for like 3 seconds, and away it went. It's like just into the fog of 2020 at this point. So yeah, I definitely think I'm not far off from what Dan Aykroyd is saying there. Yeah, it's a matter of, are they going to admit it before or after everybody finally knows it's real?
Yeah, after we get a full entourage standing somewhere on planet Earth waiting to meet us.
And it's, you got to look at it too from a standpoint of, well, everybody says, alien sightings weren't really a thing until, nuclear weapons. Well, they were. I mean, you look at the old hieroglyphs and stuff like that, but even if we, get rid of all those and say that the sightings weren't seen until nuclear weapons, well, it's kind of a big fucking flare. Oh shit, we better go check on these guys. These monkeys figured something out. And we're gonna get down there and check on them.
It's crazy. Like the whole alien things, it can go in so many different directions. One of the challenges, and I forget who said this, it was somebody who's smarter than me and you put together, said that it's not that aliens haven't been here looking for intelligent life. It's more of a probability that they have been here and they didn't find intelligent life. They found little ground running mammalian people that communicate with sound waves, and we've managed to fly that far off of our planet. We're so far behind them that they've visited and left.
Right. Yeah, and that's true too. We're talking about us seeing aliens. They've obviously figured something out we haven't, if we are.
Right.
So they're definitely that far advanced. And, the theories and the technology that came out after things like the Roswell crash, I mean, it's not coincidence. It can't be coincidence. All this, advancement in technology just rapidly changing shortly thereafter.
I don't know what year it was, but whenever the microprocessor hit, like there's a lot of conspiracy guys, and I don't like that word, but as soon as I say conspiracy guys, the guys I'm talking about.
Right.
So it's an easy word to use. But a lot of these guys, like they map out that the entire microprocessor situation was 100% brought here from another universe or whatever. So I don't know. I've got mixed feelings on aliens. I really love talking about it. I don't believe in aliens, but I do believe in life outside of planet Earth.
Right. I believe in Elon Musk. That guy in and of himself is kind of an alien, but
a little bit well funded by the U.S. government.
Yeah,
where our tax dollars are paying for what he's doing.
Yeah, I mean, the guy has definitely figured something out. He has manipulated his way into contracts that keep his doors open, and business is growing without any delivery. So, I guess we can't complain on that, right? The guy's doing something to get it. We don't know what it is, but it's
and
there.
He's got nice new hair.
That's true.
He was completely bald a few years ago. Now look at him. Look at that head of hair he has. He's luscious.
Yeah, that's that Neuralink right there.
Yeah.
It grows your hair back out. So I guess we kind of touched on that stuff there. Where do you want to see your stuff go? Where would you like to see? Is there a point where you're like, okay, I'm doing everything I need to do, and this is good enough for me. I'm just not going to worry about hunting the algorithm or anything like that, or is it just for you perpetual, just keep doing what you're doing because you're having fun until you're not having fun anymore?
I think for me, I have to entertain myself. I talk about things I'm interested in. I'm old, and I've only got, if I don't get hit by a Mack truck, I've got 30, 33, 35 years left on this planet, maybe. I'm 6'5", and so you can map based on genetics when 6'5" people exit this earth, and they don't live as long as 4'6" Japanese ladies who live on, I live in the South. We live on butter, so I've got maybe another 30 years here. And I think for me, I've got to do things that entertain me. I've got to do things that I'm interested in. Guns have always gotten my attention, and I like talking about things that interest me. So where am I going to go from here? I don't know. I'm going to change and evolve, but I'm going to keep talking about things that get my attention.
Yeah. So you run on butter, and you're 6'5", so things get slippery. No, I can't complain about that. I live in Wisconsin. We live on butter as well. So butter,
Yeah, y'all
cheese, and
live on
milk,
butter,
man.
butter and cheese. Yep.
Yeah, that's where it is. So I think back in like 1960, something like that, the dairy farmers in this country or in this state lobbied the government. So it's actually illegal to serve anything but real butter in restaurants here in Wisconsin. So you're not getting margarine anywhere. You can't even
Well,
order it.
y'all are our brothers from other mothers up there, because I've spent some time in Wisconsin, and I hate to put you together tightly with these people, but it's not too far off. Minnesota and Wisconsin, both those worlds up there remind me a lot of the South, because it's a whole bunch of rednecks out in the woods, blowing up critters with guns, and also similar diets.
Yeah, it's definitely similar. I mean, I know when I came to Tennessee, not too long ago, the biggest difference between up here and down there is that um, down there everybody's just having a good time. It seems, if compared to up here, everybody's pissy and in a hurry to go nowhere. But the Southern hospitality is a real thing. So I mean,
It
I've
is.
definitely seen it. I had a buddy who actually lives in Kentucky who explained it differently to me. But I mean, we were on a motorcycle coming down there, and I stopped, and we were just on some back road, and it was just a parking lot on a Saturday, and it's like, okay, we've been on a bike for like 8 hours, we just need to stretch. So pulled over, got in the parking lot, and like in 5 minutes, six people stopped to see if we were okay, make sure everything was good, and it's like, oh, that's amazing. Like up by us, it wouldn't matter. I mean, my wife's car broke down one day, and she was on the side of the road for 2 hours. Didn't have nobody stopped. Not even a cop stopped. Just drive right on by.
No, Southern hospitality is very real. So is the meth problem here as well. But there are some good parts in the South, and one thing that I love is the hospitality. People get along, and the cool thing here is, a lot of the YouTube gun guys are Southern, and it's welcoming. I've been in their houses. I've eaten dinner at their table. I've hung out with their kids. I've slept in their homes, and yeah, it's something to be said. But you meet good people everywhere, everywhere other than New England. Those people can they can jump in the ocean, but I kid to the two people in Connecticut watching this. But yeah, there's good people here, but I've been up where you're at. I've met good people. I took a taxi one time, and again, I'm roping you in with Minnesota. We were up in International Falls, Minnesota, and we were taking a taxi from the airport 2 hours out into the middle of nowhere to go fishing. And I was on a fishing excursion up in Canada. And the guy who ran our taxi, it was a big shuttle service, huge van. He was like, "What are y'all doing?" Like, "Well, we're going to the airport in about 4 hours." And he said, "Let's go to my brother's house." And so our taxi dude took eight of us guys who were filthy from fishing to his brother's house. We went through his whole house, looked at all of his bow and arrow stuff, looked at all of his hunting stuff. He had some full size taxidermy, like a grizzly bear, and like full size, huge museum quality stuff. We spent half the afternoon with this dude. Great dude. He's a Southern brother from another mother.
Yeah, yeah. There's still that in some places. Some people are pretty decent about it, and it's definitely interesting. I think one thing that we lack nowadays versus what people had, 30, 40 years ago is that sense of community and that ability to actually have a conversation with people. And if you just talk, like a lot of places miss that. A lot of places are just missing having a sense of community, I guess. I mean, how many people, and I know for the majority of people listening, I think I've said this before. If you don't know your neighbor, that's a problem. Like, these are the people closest to you. They're the people that know your house. They know when you're there, when you're not. Most of them know your schedule. So if you don't know your neighbor, number one, it's a major security issue. Number two, why don't you know your neighbor? They literally are right there. Like, just say hi, introduce yourself. You don't have to get along, but you're in the same area. Those people, you need to have that community.
I agree. It's unfortunate, like, and I've talked on this on my channel about this pretty regularly, that Mayberry's gone. Like those days are done. Like, sitting on the front porch and visiting on Sunday afternoons. And it wasn't that long. Young viewers have no concept of this. My kids have no concept of this. That up until the 70s, Sunday afternoon, you went over to your neighbor's house. You walked the streets or you walked the sidewalk, and it was for visiting. And you didn't have to have an appointment or call ahead. You just go knock on the door and go visiting. And you'll see them do that on Mayberry sometimes. They'll walk around on Sunday afternoons and just visit people. Those days are gone. I don't think they're coming back. I really don't. I think people are very. It's weird because on one way we show our private lives on social media nonstop, and in the other ways we're 100% private. You don't talk to strangers, and stranger danger. You don't get along with even to your point, even your next door neighbor.
Yeah, I mean, I think part of it is this sense in people's mind that on the internet, you're anonymous or you're disconnected. It's a different life. You can show the life that you want to, and your neighbors get to see who you really are, type deal. But maybe it's a fear of that. I think in general though, it is just I have other people that I want to talk to online already, so why should I go talk to my neighbor? Or I have to put my phone down to do that. That's just not right. Like, we need to disconnect more. We need to get back to that community. And I think it's possible to get there in some areas. I think there's certain cities are never going to get there, unfortunately. The bigger places aren't going to. Some smaller areas, they didn't lose that long ago. It's not that far-fetched to see them get back to it, I know where I'm from when I grew up. I mean, early 90s, it was still like that. The neighbors 4 houses down had a bonfire. Everybody was there. All the kids were playing. All the adults were drinking. We were just having a good time sitting around by the fire in the middle of a town, Wasn't like out in the country. We just, we walk down the alley to the house and go have fun. And I think that's, not too far removed and we could get back there, but we got to quit the whole I'm online, I'm going to do this my way thing. Get out there and have fun.
Those points. Mm-hmm.
So, I didn't want to keep you too long. I know you're kind of working, stuff like that. I don't want to keep everybody watching too long either because pre-recorded just isn't as fun for a lot of people. But I don't really care. I enjoyed this conversation. Is there anything else you want to talk about, touch on before we kind of kick off and I let you get back to work and doing your thing?
No, I just appreciate the opportunity here. I got to take a break here on a Sunday afternoon, and I've been editing, and I'm going to edit the rest of the day today. But it's nice to, talk to a fellow 2A freedom-loving American, and that's really good. So I appreciate the opportunity to be on here. I had a blast. This was fantastic, and to everybody that has stuck with us and been a part of this conversation, good to see y'all, I guess, virtually as well. So I was fun. Appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, glad to have you. I appreciate your time, and this has definitely been interesting, and it lives up to everything I've been expecting from Johnny B.
Lower your expectations.
Hey, I actually just enjoy the conversation, and you're definitely an easy guy to kind of talk to here, and just have a decent amount of conversation with. So,
handsome.
Yeah, definitely more handsome than myself. So. You got it going on.
Like a Muppet.
Yeah.
I look like a Muppet. I look like a thumb.
That's all right.
Right here.
No, that's Joe Rogan.
It's pretty.
That's Joe Rogan.
Joe Rogan looks like.
You got Joe Rogan on your hand?
I look like the same thing right here. Like my head and my thumb are pretty much the same thing.
Nah, you got a better complexion on your face. And you don't have a goatee either.
Nice.
All right, buddy. I appreciate your time. This has been awesome. Like I said, I don't ever monetize this. Anybody can come on and say what they want to say. Just a quick plug for the show. If you're looking to get onto a show, if you got something you want to say, you want to have a good time, just reach out, openmic.boogbrand.com. That's where I post up all of the blog stuff, upcoming guests, things like that. You can reach out to at openmic@boogbrand.com. That is the email for us. You can, hit us up if you want to be on the show. It doesn't matter. Big following, little following. I just want the conversation. So if you got something to say, got a backstory, let's do it. Sit down and have a good time. So we're booking out to the end of November right now, getting into December pretty soon. So I appreciate it. I appreciate your time again, Johnny. I appreciate everybody who's taken time to watch this. And on that note, I'm going to say take it easy, have a good night, and have a safe weekend, everyone.